everyone, and welcome back to Digital Echoes, where we examine the relationship between our online lives and our real lives. I'm Maya Fuentes. I'm a first year college student at College of DuPage, and today we are discussing social media and its correlation to the decline of Gen Z mental health. Or, in other words, talk about social media's potential impacts on the mental wellness of Gen Z, something that hits very close to home. If you're like me, your day is probably structured by scrolling through TikTok or Instagram when you wake up, go to bed, or on a work break, or in general checking other social media apps during some point in the day, just to be curious about what the world is up to at every moment. This is normal, right? But potentially there is something much more serious going on beneath that casual scroll, so let's talk about it. So, what's actually happening behind the screen? Research indicates that we are currently facing a mental health crisis, particularly amongst members of Gen Z, the first generation to live online. While social media sites like Instagram and TikTok can promote creativity and connection, they are also quietly destroying mental health in the form of anxiety, depression, and low self esteem. So, what is the problem? We are always plugged in. That's why. Social media has none of the natural breaks and boundaries of in person communication. In fact, an academic journal, The Effect of Social Media Used via Mobile Device on Mental Health of Young Adults, written by McPherson and Aparicio in 2020, noted that bullying, yes, still exists, has strong links to anxiety, depression, self harm, and even suicidal ideation. Unlike bullying in school, when the day is over and the bell rings, bullying online may never stop. Bullying doesn't just follow you home, it follows you to your room, to your smartphone. It follows you everywhere and all the time. It is not only bullying. We need to look at how we are using social media that is problematic. In a review published in 2019, a systematic review, The Influence of Social Media on Depression, Anxiety, and Psychological Distress in Adolescents, researcher Keelys looked at 13 studies, showing that depression was the most common outcome of problematic social media use, specifically emotional overinvestment and obsessive scrolling, aka doom scrolling. It is not just the time we are spending online, but our level of emotional connection to what is going on online. Both studies, Keelys and McPherson and Aparicio, indicate that the higher our emotional dependence on the platforms, the greater the likelihood of becoming more vulnerable. Let's focus on one word and dissect it. Validation. Why do we feel the need to constantly check our phones? Easy. It's dopamine. That little rush when we get when we have been liked. It's crazy good, for at least some. According to UC Davis Health article, social media's impact on our mental health and tips to use it safe, dopamine is the same little chemical that lights up when we eat chocolate or win a prize at the arcade or somewhere else. And yes, the like button, it essentially is literally like hitting a reward center. So when that validation doesn't happen, as in when a post is bashed or something similar, people can be downright unhappy. And that's not all. The comparisons are constant. We are no longer comparing ourselves to celebrities. We're comparing ourselves to people we know, our classmates, our coworkers, our friends, and family. And according to UC Davis Health, this can leave us feeling less than, like we are missing out and that we don't measure up. And let's be honest, filtered images and curated content make the differences even harder to identify. You are not alone. You're part of a bigger picture. In 2022, the McKinsey's Health Institute article, Gen Z Mental Health, the Impact of Technology and Social Media, surveyed over 42,000 people in 26 countries. Among Gen Z participants, 1 in 4 said their mental health had a decline in the past 3 years. For baby boomers, 1 in 7. That's a big difference. Even more concerning, 32% of Gen Z women said social media negatively impacted how they saw their bodies, while 24% said it hurt their confidence. That's nearly a quarter of a whole generation of people who are struggling with self worth tied to social media content. Recognizing one of the most frequently neglected consequences, sleep. A recent study published in 2023, The Impact of Social Media on the Mental Health of Adolescents and Young Adults, a systematic review in Incurus, found that 36% of teens wake up at least once every night to check their phones, and 40% are scrolling within 5 minutes of getting into bed. Not gonna lie, I'm somewhat a victim of this. And this is more than inconsiderate sleep hygiene. It can pose risk to our mental health. There are correlations between poor sleep and increased anxiety, depression, and difficulty concentrating. So when we say social media shapes how we feel, we are not just talking about feelings. It is also shaping our physical and mental health well-being. Okay, I know this sounds really bad, but here's the thing. There are solutions, and we don't have to just quit social media right now. We have to be intentional with our actions. And that means limiting the amount of time we spend on our phones, curating our feeds, unfollowing people or things that make us feel worse, and taking breaks. And I mean real breaks, like getting outside, touch some grass, get that sunlight on your skin, try a hobby, just overall, put the damn phone down, is what I'm really getting at. And this means being accountable with the platforms. So, for example, taking a sabbatical off an app, like removing it off of your phone. You can still access it through your computer. It's just the likeliest chances of you actually checking it has diminished. You have removed the opportunity from your selection. And some questions we should be asking, not to mention, is could these apps be designed to maximize healthy usage? Could they give us less curated content and more reality? These are the questions that developers need to be asking. Even educators need to be asking. And honestly, that we Gen Z ourselves need to be asking because it's not just the screen on our phone. It's our future. So next time you find yourself in that scroll like, repeat loop, that doom scrolling, take a moment with yourself to pause and check in, not with your feed, but with yourself. Anyways, thanks for listening to Digital Echoes. If you enjoyed this first ever episode of Digital Echoes, share it with a friend, a classmate, or whoever you would like. And honestly, have a talk with them face to face. Get that communication, that interaction. Always good, always healthy. And let's all work to promote a healthier digital world. I'll catch you around. I'm Maya Fuentes, and stay grounded.